the monopolist will have the ability to change the market because you are a monopolist. Monopolists produce less but charge more than the firm in a competitive market. So what in the Kinkade demand curve model, the firm maximizes profit at Q1. Who exactly fixed the price of the oil barrels every day, the crude oil price? Good morning and welcome to the first revision in Unit 3 Business Decision Theory, where we are going to talk about the monopoly production point. Now, it's very, very important that we need to understand the graphical part of the monopoly theory. It's very easy to talk in terms of theory factor, but when it has to be proved graphically, you need to apply a lot of understanding. Like the non-monopolies, the monopolist will produce at a quantity such that marginal revenue equals the marginal cost. So we are going to first understand the condition MR is equal to MC. That's the most important factor that we are trying to understand here. So what will happen here is that the marginal cost, the cost that is involved in terms of making it, the marginal cost should be equal to your revenue levels. Then only we will start making the profit factor. Now, the monopolist will have the ability to change the market because you are a monopolist. You have the power to have the control over the market, being the sole supplier in the market. You will now try to change the market price based on the amount they produce, since they are the only source of products in the market. Now you have the dictatorship in terms of pricing the product according to your needs factor. So you know what is the pulse of the market, and since you are the only supplier, you will start now pricing the product. Now let's try to understand graphically what has been told here. On the graph, you will be able to see the price and quantity taken. On the y-axis, you have the price factor. On the x-axis, you have the quantity factor that is being taken. Now, the first thing here is that the marginal cost will initially be on the lower basis. It will tend to come down and it will slowly start rising up. So that's what you see here. The curve starts going up. That's the marginal cost curve. Followed by, you will have an average cost. So the average cost will tend to float along like this. So they will cut at a particular point. There will be the marginal revenue, which will tend to slope downwards. That has been shown here graphically, the MR. Then you will have the point D, which is equal to the average revenue here. Now, where is the profit-making scenario coming into picture? Now, assume that the cost price, what we are talking about, is the intersection of these curves. That's where the product cost is coming into picture. The moment I raise the price above the market price, what I'm going to determine, because I'm the monopolist here, we move from the deadweight factor, that's the normal cost basis, to a supernormal profit. That's where I become the monopolist. So this gap, this factor, what you are able to see, this entire scenario is where I'm going in for a supernormal profit, which means to say that taking the cost at that level and increasing it to the above the market, that's where I want to make more profit altogether. I will be able to get into a monopolist segmentation altogether, which will help me to gather maximum profit. Followed by, when a monopolist produces the quantity determined by the intersection of MR and MC, it can charge the price determined by the market demand curve of the quantity. So now what happens is that the monopolist will first try to understand one simple factor called as the intersection of MR and MC, that is the marginal revenue and the marginal cost. Once it is being determined, the market demand curve of the quantity produced at that level will be determined. So automatically, monopolists produce less but charge more than the firm in a competitive market. So what monopolists typically tend to do is that they will produce less and charge more. So why? Because they know that they are the sole producers in the market, and they know that they can charge more on that factor. So automatically they will now try to bring in a reduction in the production levels. They will try to reduce, they will try to freeze in altogether. So automatically they can increase the price, lesser quantity, higher price. Now we move to the supernormal profit altogether. So that's how the monopolist production point comes into picture. So they know exactly how to pull it up, and they will try to play the market for their advantage. Followed by the oligopoly diagram, which was done in the year 2019 by Tevin Pretiger, which tries to say about the different diagrams that we are going to talk about. Why? Because it is important to bear in mind there are different possible ways the oligopoly can come into picture. Now let's try to understand here the Kinkade demand curve diagram altogether. What we are trying to see here is that the Kinkade demand curve tries to talk about the demand elastic for the price increase. Now you will see that in the Kinkade demand curve model, the firm maximizes profit at Q1. This is where the firm will try to maximize the profit altogether because they are in a very good condition, they are in a very good form there. Now what that will happen is that where MR is equal to MC. That's a very, very important point that we have to keep in mind. Marginal revenue equals the marginal cost at any given point of time. Once that is happening, now thus a change in the marginal cost may not change the market price. Now if the marginal cost of the product is going to change by whatever factors of production, but that is not going to affect the market price. The market price is going to be held by the oligopolist firm. So it will suggest that the prices will be quite stable. So oligopolists, the cartel makers, will not allow the market price to be shaken at any point of time. They will hold the price to their advantage, to their level as far as possible. So that's why it is very, very important for us in the Kinkade demand curve to understand the graph. Now look here, if you start looking the price P1, this is the point what they are trying to make the maximum profit. Now you will see that there are two marginal cost factors that are coming in. The MC1, which is going up, and then the MC2. So the change in marginal cost will automatically happen for the price decrease. That's always there. But at any point of time, what we are trying to talk here is that the marginal revenue equal to marginal cost at the point Q1 will be leading us to get the maximum profit at any given point of time. So that's very, very important. Why? We have also told in the graph, change in MC leads to the same price P1. So we are not worried about the market price here. We will maintain it as much as possible on the stability level, and we will try to play here. Now, the Kinkade demand curve makes certain assumption. Firms are profit maximizers, no doubt about it. Every firm will try to maximize the profit at any given point of time. They do not want to be in a situation where they want to go down in terms of price. So they are profit maximizers. If one firm increases the price, definitely the other firms won't follow the suit. Therefore, for a price increase, the demand is price elastic. That's very, very important for all of us to understand. For one firm price increase, that is whenever the firm increases, they don't follow the suit. They will not go with that. What they will tend to do is that for a price increase, the demand is price elastic, which means to say that the demand will continue to remain. They will not show immediate kind of changes. There would be a factor that has to be recognized. For if one firm cuts the price, what will happen now? If one firm is cutting the price, other firms will follow the suit because they don't want to lose the market share. Now, if one firm will cut the price because they feel that yes, by reducing the price, I'll increase the demand, the other firms will follow the suit. They will also form because they are part of the cartel, and at the long run, they don't want to lose the market share. So they will also follow the same psychology. Therefore, for a price cut, the demand is price elastic, inelastic altogether. The price will not show any kind of change factor. It will be inelastic altogether. That's what we have to learn here in terms of the Kinkade demand curve diagram. Now, it also shows that this shows how Kinkade demand curve we get. That is how it gets turned, how it gets bent altogether, and it has a limitation. What is the limitation that we are trying to understand? It does not explain how the price was arrived at the first place. Now, first of all, we are not able to get on to the situation in terms of understanding how the price determination is done in an oligopoly market. Now, every time people ask this question, who exactly fixed the price of the oil barrels every day, the crude oil price? We only know that there is a governing committee called as OPEC which decides the price of the crude oil, the price of the barrel every day. But what methodology, what statistics are they employing to arrive at this? We do not know because we don't have any idea there. Firms may engage in price competition. Why? Because all the firms which are a part of the oligopoly, which are a part of the cartel, will definitely try to get into the price competition, will definitely try to cut each other, will try to get into some other factors. But that is not going to be accepted because at the end of the day, they will try to stimulate the price. They will try to bring in a price regulation by which all the members are not affected and they make the maximum profit here. Now, collusive oligopoly. This is very, very important. Why? Because if the firms in the oligopoly collude and form a cartel and they will try to fix a level which maximize the profits in the industry, again, what will happen? MR is equal to MC kind of a condition, and they will able to see that they make the maximum profit by setting the quota. That means to say that they know the output level, they also know the price. So what they will try to do here is that maximize the profit by getting on to the output level. At any point of time, the one thing that we have to remember, that we have to keep in our mind is that oligopoly people will not give up on the price and the quantity. They know the market output, they also know the price factor, and with that, they will keep on moving all together. That's where the collusive oligopoly comes into picture. Now, the price and output in oligopoly will reflect the price and output of a monopoly. The quantity QM will be split between the firms of the cartel. So they know that this much we need to produce. Each firm know how much quantity exactly they have to produce. They will split the quantity. They will share the entire aspect and they will keep on producing in the cartel. So this is why monopoly and oligopoly factors you have to keep in mind in terms of the factors of market structure. With this, I come to the end of today's session. I hope and believe that the concepts that have been spoken through this session will be of a great help and resource to you. In the upcoming session, we shall try to understand more problems and graphs and diagrams in the business decision theory. Until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me today on this wonderful session.